Let's bring you more now on the Saudi oil attacks at the weekend. We're joined from Florida by Sina Azodi, a security analyst at Gulf State Analytics. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Sky News. So, Donald Trump's come out and said he has reason to believe Iran was behind these attacks. What evidence do you think he would have for this?
Well, the U.S. hasn't basically showed any evidence that it was actually the Iranians. But the reports that I've seen, they indicate that the attack was done by so much precision that the Houthis are not capable of doing. So naturally, it goes to Iranians. But if it is actually Iranians, I think the calculation of Iranians is that by disrupting the oil markets, they can show or actually force the U.S. to give them some sort of sanction relief so they can meet.
What kind of disruption has this done to the oil supply, as far as you know?
My understanding is that the attacks were done they will take a few months to be restored. And in the meantime, the facilities can produce up to 5.6 or 7 million barrels per day. So this is quite amount of production for the Saudis.
And one would be surprised, wouldn't they? These are major oil fields, you know, the biggest oil producers in Saudi Arabia. How come they weren't fortified or able to withstand such attacks?
I mean, you could defend an oil refinery from the ground, but it's really difficult to defend it from the air. I mean, there's so much air defense that you could put there, but it also shows that all the military equipment that the Saudis have been purchasing from the U.S. Haven't been put to use. That was the quip from President of Russia, who said that Saudis should have done the same thing that the Iranians and the Turks have done and purchase Russian missile systems.
What do you make of the timing of these attacks coming now?
Well, I think that it's important to keep in mind that Iranians are really trying to send a message that if they want, they can hurt U.S. allies in the region. They can create disruption, and this is how they're trying to force the U.S. to give Iran some sanction relief. If you can't do it through diplomatic means, maybe you can use force or show force to push the U.S. to work with Iran to give them some sort of sanction relief, because Iranian economy is under so much pressure, and Iranians have probably calculated that if Trump stays in White House, they cannot continue in the same manner for another 4 years. So they're trying to force the White House to show some flexibility.
And if it is the work of the Iranians, is it going to have their desired effect? Surely not. It's just inflaming tensions between the two countries.
Well, Iranians have, I think it's a calculated risk. Either way, either they send a message that the U.S. needs to work with Iran somehow, or if there's a military conflict, they also think that if it escalates, they can put pressure on the U.S. by basically giving President Trump the option of starting another war in the Middle East or do nothing. And knowing that Trump is not interested in dragging the U.S. into another war, I think the understanding in Tehran is that while they may take a few hits, but this will not escalate.
And is that largely because President Trump wouldn't be seen to be wanting to go to war with perhaps an election coming up next year?
Absolutely. If you look at how the American voters have voted in the past few years, they've gone for the candidates that actually championed on taking the U.S. or pulling the U.S. out of the Middle East. Both President Obama and President Trump, they both of them campaigned on the issue. And President Trump famously said that great nations don't go to perpetual wars. So he's really reluctant to take the U.S. Into the war in the Middle East. He's not really interested. And Iranians have been counting on it. And I think that all the things that the Iranians have been doing indicates that this is their calculation, that Trump is not interested in getting into another war in the Middle East.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. I do appreciate your insight into what's going on. That's Sina Azodi, Security Advisor at Gulf State Analytics, joining us. Thanks ever so much for your time. Thank you.